Hello, hello, and welcome to the CX Fanatics podcast, the show that helps coaches, consultants, and speakers increase revenue, referrals, and retention through exceptional customer experience. Tune in weekly for insights, interviews, and inspiration that will not only catapult your profits, but also your growth. I'm your host, Elisa Connor. Let's get into the show. Hello, hello, and welcome back to the show. I'm so grateful you're here. I'm Elisa Connor. If we haven't met yet, I am the host of the CX Fanatics podcast, as well as the owner of the Profit Growth Club and Elisa Connor Consulting. I've been helping small businesses, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and speakers for over 20 years grow their businesses with strategic marketing and building relationships. This week, we dive into the topic of how to turn your audiences into leads without having to do hard sells. And so a lot of times when I work with people that are in the coaching and consulting business, they almost always have really big hearts. And I think sometimes our heart gets in the way of us getting the hard, cold cash. And so I want to give you some tips, tricks, and techniques that I've used both in my own business and with clients to help you convert more leads naturally without feeling slimy into customers and actually doing them a service by turning them into customers. So without further ado, this is going to be a two-part series. And next week, we will dive into the second part of the series. So stay tuned. This is part one, and then the second part of the series will come in next week. So the first thing we need to think about when we are talking to leads who are people is that they are people and they are on their own journey. It seems so simple, but not everyone takes that into consideration. And then they really struggle with why can't I sell to people, or why aren't people buying, and things like that. And the key to treating people like people is remembering that they're on their own journey, and their journey is not necessarily, and most often is not the same as your journey. And so you are probably going along in your own journey as a business owner thinking, okay, they need to do this and then do this and then do this. Well, in reality, most of life is not that black and white. Instead, it's more of a gray area. Like, you might be thinking they're going to do this step and really they're over here, and they're like, no, I'm not, I'm doing this thing over here. And so we need to be hyper aware of what our customer journey is and all of the nuances that come with that customer journey. Now, a lot of times people, they either tune out or they get a little terrified when we start talking about customer journey because they don't understand what a customer journey is, what it means, or how to create one. And in reality, it's a super powerful marketing tool for anybody that's in business. If you have this nailed down, I don't care if you're a restaurant, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you own a Fortune 500 company, if you understand your customer's journey and you're willing to put in the work to understand where they are coming from, the pathway that they take to doing business with you, and actually meet them where they are, your sales will increase so much faster than people that don't do this. An example of a company who's really good at this is Noom. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Noom or if you know the Noom story, but Noom is a weight loss app, very similar to some of the other big names out there like Weight Watchers, not necessarily Nutrisystem. I don't know a lot about Nutrisystem, but what makes Noom unique is that they understand their customer journey. They understand the places that people have stumbled and fallen off the wagon to the point that it makes them such a different company than their competitors. And one of the things that they really discovered when they were learning about their customers and the struggles that they have gone through and the things that they have done previously to try and lose weight is that there's more to weight loss than just food and exercise. Yes, those are two really big components, but the thing that goes on between these two ears right here has a huge part to play in the weight loss journey. And that wasn't being addressed by most other companies. Now, it's interesting that their competitors have now gotten on board and are trying to do the same thing. But Noom was really a frontier company when it came to discovering that psychology had a lot to do with weight loss. And they did that by discovering, how people were going on their weight loss journey and how they could meet them in a new and different way on that weight loss journey to help them see success. And so why I say that they are still really plugged into their customer journey is that if you go and you fill out, you want to get started with Noom, you go through a really extensive survey that figures out where you are, what you're doing. And this is a very unique example because most businesses will not be afforded the luxury of gathering as much information as Noom does in their initial intake. But everything that they can gather about the people, which means they had to figure out the questions they were going to ask before they started asking people to to fill out the survey. They had to go through a customer path to figure out, how do people come in? Are they coming from different places? They're obviously coming from different places, different experiences, different attempts in the past to solve the same problem, all of those different things. And everybody was coming in from a different spot, and the way that they thought about weight loss and the way that they went on the journey for weight loss, because it could be over a lifetime, it could be a short period of time, maybe somebody's gained a lot of weight after pregnancy, or they're gaining weight because of menopause. Totally different journeys for each of these people. They had to be hyper aware of that before they started to even onboard any of these people into their app. And because they were willing to gather data and document data and get to know their customers and understand where each person was coming from, even though they end up in the same location, they understand and they did their work to understand that pathway for their customers so that they could then personalize not only the intake information, but the journey for that person as they go through the app. Because somebody that's coming in as a new mom is going to have a totally different set of challenges and circumstances and even experiences than somebody that has been fighting, being overweight for their entire lives, or they have a slower metabolism, or whatever it might be. And so they had to create a journey for each of those individual people that meets them where they are. And they did that by being hyper aware of the different journeys that are out there, and also diving in to those journeys and seeing like where people might take a detour, or where people might come in from a different angle, or different hurdles that people might have to overcome, and things like that. So because they took the time to get to know who their customers were specifically, the challenges that they faced, and the different road and pathways that they've walked on and where they are now, they've been able to customize how they work with people, and they've been very successful. And the people that come into their program are also very successful because they are given a program that is not a one-size-fits-all. It is a program that's designed specifically for where they are on their journey and for their own mental challenges and things that they're trying to overcome. So they have put into practice and into effect things to meet people where they are with those challenges to help them be successful. And those are things that you can do as well. It just takes a little bit of forethought. And so if you're thinking, I could never be a Noom or Weight Watchers or anybody that's like a huge company, I only use that example because it's an example that people have heard of. And many small businesses have done this successfully as well, including people that I work with. And I want to encourage you to think about this from the perspective of the people that you work with most often. Now, where people go awry with the customer journey is that they try to identify their customer journey only from one perspective. So if you have multiple ways that you work with people, for example, I have a client right now that works with people that have different career challenges. So she may have somebody that comes in that wants to change their career and wants to up level. They want to go from a middle management position and they want to move into a senior level position. Well, once they get there, what she discovered is that they often don't have the leadership skills they need for that position, and they're feeling like a fish out of water. And so then, that's a totally different journey. And she may not only want to work with that person, but other people that are in that same position to develop their leadership skills. Well, then she also has another division of people that are, they've gone as far as they want to go in their corporate career, but they're looking at, okay, how can I expand? How can I keep doing what I love, but not in a corporate setting? And so she has another pathway, another customer journey that she's created for people that are, have reached the upper echelons of their career, and they want to go out and start doing consulting or go out on their own, so they're not tied to one single corporation. And so that's a totally different customer journey that she's had to create for that group of people. So I'm not saying as a small business owner or an entrepreneur that you can't do that, but I'm just warning you, don't have the same customer journey for everybody coming into your world, because it's going to be confusing to them. And you're going to lose people because you're going to think, no, they only talk to these people. And so this is why it's really important to create a customer journey, even if it's very simple. Of most people come in here, then they go here, then they go here, and then then they would have this. Just so you have an idea of what their journey looks like, and also where they can get off track. And the reason you want to know where they can get off track is those are the most obvious places that you're going to be able to help them get back on track and get to the success that they want. And so that's why a customer journey is really important. And I want to encourage you to develop one, even if it's very simple. A journey map, there's tons of resources online to create a journey map and kind of walk through that process, but don't let it be overwhelming to you. And then the other part of the customer journey that I find that people often get stuck on is that they work from the belief that no means no. In reality, if you switch up that mentality and you start to think that no means not yet, that is more often the case. And when we do that, it not only serves the people that we've already brought into our funnel through lead magnet, any kind of lead generation activities, connections that we've made, but it opens up the opportunity for you to build that relationship, learn more about them, cater their customer journey with you, so that ultimately they are more comfortable, have more trust in you, and will purchase from you when they're ready. Now, that's a really important distinction, is a lot of people build out their customer journey with the opposite in mind, is that I want them to buy now. And in reality, people will buy when they are ready and when they trust you. And so if we can build our journey around that mentality of no means not yet, we're going to have a lot more success, and we're going to spend a lot less money on generating leads, because we're going to actually pour into the people who are already in our funnel. And that is such a huge differentiator for businesses that they don't even realize the power they have when they do that. One of the first steps to growing profit in your business is building trust with people that don't know you yet. As we talked about so many times on this podcast, people don't buy from people they don't know. So how do you build trust with them? Well, the easiest way to do that is by getting them on your email list and staying in front of them so they remember who you are. However, growing your email list isn't as easy as it used to be, which is the exact reason I created a free secret podcast for you to create an irresistible lead magnet. Because the days of sign up for my newsletter or get our insights simply don't work anymore. People are on to the shtick. They don't want to be flooded with emails that don't offer any value. So by taking the time to go through the Irresistible Lead Magnet training, you are going to get the step-by-step plan to create a lead magnet that people actually want, and that they will exchange their email address to get, so that you're adding to your list, and then you have the opportunity to show up, provide value, and gain their trust. Once you do this, they are much more likely to not only buy, but tell others about you, about the lead magnet, about your business, and about whatever it is they purchase from you. So if you're ready to get started on that Irresistible Lead Magnet training and get access to the 5 specific step plan as well as the guide to accompany that audio training, you can grab it today at profitgrowthclub.com/secret podcast. Go grab your copy, get started, dive in and do the entire training at one time or split it up over time. The lessons are broken up so that you can go through 10 minutes at a time, or you can binge the entire thing and get it all done. I want to hear from you how your lead magnet turns out and what you created. So once you've gone through the training, send me a message over on Instagram or LinkedIn and let me know how the training went. Again, grab your access to the secret podcast at profitgrowthclub.com/secret podcast and get started on that Irresistible Lead Magnet now so that you can dive head into next year with a new plan of action to grow your email list, grow your profit, and grow your business. The reason being is that most businesses operate from, hey, how many leads can we get? Oh, we're going to try and sell to them. Nope, they didn't buy. Okay, go get more leads. We're going to try and sell to them. They didn't buy. Okay, just go get more leads. In the meantime, you've invested so much time, so much energy, and so much money into all of these leads that then you just throw in the corner, ignore, don't talk to again, or even worse, in my opinion, you try to sell to them again when you reopen your launch or your cart or your new service or whatever it might be. And then they're just annoyed because they're like, I already told you no once. You've done nothing to build the relationship with me. I don't want your new thing. And now you've just made me mad. So instead of doing that, I want you to think about different ways that you could get in front of those people when they say no, that actually encourages them to learn more about you and you learn more about them and create a connection back and forth. So that's number one, is understanding that customer journey. And it's such a key and critical component to success that I wanted to spend a little bit of time there. The second, which I alluded to just a minute ago, way to turn more leads into sales is by focusing on engaging them. And that doesn't just mean on social media. Yes, that's important, but moving people off of social media is more important. Many people, I think I've been preaching this for so long, I feel like I'm just standing on the mountain talking to the people. But they use social media as a place to get in front of new eyeballs, but then they never do the work to take the conversation off of social media and putting all of your eggs in social media. I see this all of the time on TikTok, lots of the time on Instagram, is you have people that have built these giant audiences and then something will happen with their account. It gets closed down, or they lose all their followers, or they get locked out of their account, or Facebook and Instagram change the rules. TikTok gets banned. We can go on and on and on. The point is, somebody else owns all of those platforms. You do not own them. And so when you build your business over there, you are playing a dangerous game. Yes, go out and create connections. Yes, go meet people, but get them off of the platform in one way, shape, or form, and get them onto an email list so that you own the real estate. I would love to go over to TikTok and just preach this from the rooftops, but I don't think people over there are listening. Like, they're just like, nope, it's great right now. I'm going to monetize it this way. And a lot of people, this just happened both on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube with them changing the rules. And people saw significant decreases in both, specifically on Apple when they changed their privacy policies. Significant decreases in the number of people that were downloading podcasts. And that was not something they could control. But a lot of those podcasts, another platform controlled by other organizations, whether you're on Spotify, Google, Apple, or wherever, even YouTube, you don't control any of that. Like, you can create content all day, but if you're not sending people to your email list or to your website to get on your email list, you're going to have a really hard time when they change the rules. And they always change the rules. I've been doing this since 2009, 2010. They've been changing the rules since then. So it's really a good idea to build a way to get people on a platform that you control. The two best are your website and your email list being number one. And the reason is that it gives you the power to get in front of people on your timeline, not on the timeline of somebody else. And it also gives you the power to segment and connect with people based on their areas of interest, where they are on their customer journey, and personalize the way that you talk to them when you have that information. And why that's so important is that we live in a world where things are changing so rapidly. AI is a fantastic tool, but it's also creating a bigger disconnect because we don't even have to create things anymore. We can just have AI do it. But what people are craving most is connection and conversation and the human component of not only doing business together, but life. And so when we get to learn about other people, we can have conversations that most other people can't have with them because they haven't taken the time to get to know them. And so I want to encourage you to make engagement not only on social media, yes, engage on social media, absolutely, build new relationships, but engage with them in every aspect of your business. I always say, if you can engage with people like the mom and pop shops always have, the original small business owners have always had to do to keep their customers from going to competitors or coming in, you will be so much more successful. It reminds me, there's an Italian deli that we go to all the time. My son loves to go there. And the guy that owns it, he is the son of the original owners. His name is Gino. And every time we go there, he's like, "Oh, how are you doing?" He knows us. And we don't go like every week or anything. We probably go, every other month. But he knows us. He has conversations with us. He remembers what we order. He asks, how things are going with the family, all of those different things. And that's really important because that's what keeps their business alive. Remembering, and he doesn't just do it with me, he does it with every customer that comes in there, and the rest of the staff does the same. And by knowing, for example, my son likes to buy, it's a special kind of flour for pizza, and it has a different gluten content that makes it crispier. Anyway, so last time we went in there, Gina goes, "Oh, your flour. Oh, I have bad news about the flour." And I was like, "Oh, well, we don't need it today, but what's up, dude?" And he said, the boat that was carrying the flour from Italy got stuck or crashed or something. And oh no, it got stuck, and then it was in the port, and they didn't know when they were going to be able to unload it. So he didn't know when it was going to get to Colorado. And I think it was coming in from California. So he goes, "It could be sitting there for who knows how long, but I just wanted to tell you because I know you guys like that flour." And I just thought that was so cute that he remembered that we wanted the flour. And I said, "Well, we're good. We just bought some, but we'll check back. Like, we'll come back, and, by then it'll probably be in." But I could tell that it was on his mind, and he was trying to create a connection because he remembered that we came in before. And so I tell you this story because I want you to remember specific things about the people you're trying to do business with and the people that you already do business with. Because when you can create those connections and remember specific things about them personally, you're going to have a much more likely chance that they're going to buy from you. And this is especially true when you're engaging with people in a live environment. So whether you're speaking or delivering a training or doing a webinar or whatever, if you can remember things about people, or you can gather information about people in a non-intrusive way and put that as a tag or a segment or however you want to, capture people's information and then come back and remind them or, ask them about those things, that is going to create a much more personalized relationship with people. And the likelihood that they're going to have a, wow, that feels really good response is much, much higher. So the key benefit of that is that all along the way, while you're getting to know people and you're engaging with them, you are building trust with them. And that is not something that comes easily, especially in today's world. So as you build trust, you are filling in the gaps that create objections as to why they wouldn't buy from you. And when you're filling in those gaps, you may even be doing it without knowing that it's happening on their end or vice versa. But it's so powerful, and it isn't something that most people will take the time to do. And so it makes you stand out from your competitors even quicker. And it makes people want to purchase faster because they're like, oh, I totally trust this person. They actually took the time to ask me questions, get to know me, understand me. And I feel much more comfortable with them than just some rando who is trying to sell me something in my LinkedIn message box. So the third tip I have for you to ensure that you don't have to hard sell people, and it goes back to the other two, it ties into the other two, which is building trust, building relationships, creating engagement, and knowing the customer journey, is that when you're creating content, when you're having conversations and you're diving into specifically your marketing, is I want you to take a step back and strategize and think about how is this leading them to the sale. Now, a lot of times what I will see with especially people that are newer in business, now this doesn't necessarily mean they're new to what they do, it just means that they're newer in business, is they jump in and they want to share everything they know for free. And I did this too. And then you're sad because nobody wants to buy from you because they think that they know how to do it on their own. And you've given them, all the steps, and they're like, oh, I don't need you. And so you've just basically outsold yourself from under the table. And that sucks. And I can say that from experience because it sucks. Giving away the farm for free sucks. And you don't have to do that. And you can still give a lot of value without giving away the farm for free. But it does take planning and strategy and thinking about what that path is, going back to your customer journey, and how you're going to deliver enough clarity and information about what you do and understanding, showing that you understand where your customers are at and giving them enough information that they can go so far, but then they need you for the actual execution of what they want to do. And that can be a little bit tricky, but if it is much easier to go into it with planning and strategy than to try and do it backwards, if that makes sense. So a lot of people will just jump in and they'll just start marketing and they'll start giving away, everything for free because we've been told, give away your best stuff for free for years and years and years. And the reality is that doesn't necessarily make people buy. So I want you to be really strategic about how you're educating your audience and you're letting them get to know you. And that means when you're creating content and you're creating social media posts, everything should be leading somewhere. And this is probably the number one thing that I see business owners struggle with. And then they wonder, like, okay, why can't I track where these leads are coming from? Or I just get referrals, or they don't know how to scale because they don't have any of this methodology in place. And when you have a plan and you have a strategy, you know exactly which step is leading where and what is, what comes next. And so it not only helps you in your business to be more efficient and more clear about what the customer journey is and what your sales pathway is for them, but it also helps your customer stay on the path. They're not going to be going over here or going over here. And I see a lot of people that they will create all these little mini offers, go here and here and here and here. And it just confuses their audience. And so then their audience is like, yeah, that's way too much. I'm just not going to pick any of those things. I'm going to go over here and see if somebody can help me solve my problem. So when we're creating content and we're creating marketing around our offers and in our business, we need to be really clear about how we want our customers to go through the journey that we created in step one of this process and where it is leading them. So instead of just jumping on a current trend for your industry, right now, the huge one in marketing is AI. It's probably the same in a lot of different industries. And a lot of people are jumping in and they're talking about that, about AI, but they never connect the dots between how learning that technology is going to move people, why do they need to learn that to work with you is basically the question. And a lot of times that's missing. There's no connection there. And so jumping on a trend is not always the most strategic or best way to grow or scale your business. So instead, you've spent the energy, hopefully, or you will spend the energy to get to know your potential clients, their problems, where they are on the journey, all of these different steps we've talked about. Cater content to them for where they are. An example of this is that I may have a business that comes in and they're a newer business and they are really struggling with bringing leads in and nurturing leads. That's a very different problem than somebody who has a $1.5 million business and wants to scale to, 5 million in the next 2 years. That's a totally different situation. And if I use the same messaging to talk to these people with a new business as I do the people over here who are wanting to scale their business, we have a complete disconnect. Like the people that are wanting to scale their business are going to check out. They're like, yeah, she doesn't work with people like me. And so creating content for those specific audiences is really important. And does that mean that the people over here that got to $1.5 million or, whatever it might be, don't need some of the same tools that the people over here that are just starting their business also need? No, they probably need very similar tools or very, very similar processes or content, but from different perspectives. So I'm telling you this because a lot of times content is just created to create it. And we are past that, especially with the assistance of AI, is you can go out and you can blast out, 20 blog posts in an hour. But number one, those aren't going to differentiate you from anybody else that's doing the same thing. And two, they're not going to answer your client's specific questions. They're not going to help them get further along on the path to working with you. And so I want you to think really clearly about if you're going to spend the time creating that content, is it going somewhere? Is it leading them to actually buying from you? And if it isn't, you probably need to slow down, take a step back, and figure out, okay, where are people getting stuck? Where are people getting lost? How can I change this? I'm working with a client right now who has a very successful business, but she's wanting to get out of it. She wants to scale it so that she can sell it or stay on as a partner and just step out of it. She's ready to go on to the next phase of her life. But as I'm looking at it from the outside in, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of problems here, especially with the customer journey, because you serve so many different industries, so many different people, and you have so many disconnected offers that it's going to take some time to step back and figure out, okay, number one, how are we going to connect all of those things so that people are going through a process with you and not just, go here, go here, go here. It should be very scalable, but also how are we going to bring in other people that can do what you do? Because right now you're the number one salesperson, you're the number one delivery person, you're the number one new creator, and you can't sell a business when you are the sole person that is doing all of those jobs. So the conversations that I would have with that client are very, very different than somebody who's just starting their business and needs to create their first lead magnet, for example, or create a lead magnet that actually works. Because that's another thing I hear is, I have a lead magnet, nobody's signing up. And then I go and I look at their lead magnet. It's like, join my newsletter. I'm like, that's not a lead magnet. So anyway, I'm bringing that to your attention because I want you to understand, one, that everything we are talking about is coming from the customer perspective, and to differentiate yourself, you need to think about that journey, which is why we started with the customer journey. So that, just to recap kind of what we talked about today, these are some really high level ways that you can create a process in your business that is, one, it's going to differentiate you from your competitors, but two, it's going to make it so that sales aren't so hard. And I think that's the number one thing I hear, is that I don't like sales, or sales are hard, or it's too hard to get people to say yes, or everybody says no, all of those things. And it's because they aren't taking into consideration the things that we talked about today. The first one is the customer journey. Like, where are people coming in? Where are they getting stuck? What problems have they had in the past? How are we solving those problems? Things like that. And number two is, we talked about engagement. How are you getting to know your customers beyond, here, I want to sell you this, and developing a relationship and trust with them so that when they're ready to buy, they think of you. And then the third piece is, how are you bringing them into your funnel, and what strategy do you have in place that moves them along the funnel so that they want to continue to get to know you, build the relationship, but also it's ultimately leading them to buy. And so it is a long-term game. It doesn't necessarily happen overnight. And I think that is the biggest misnomer in business, is that people want people to buy right now because that's their journey. But when we look at it from the journey of our customers and the people that we want to work with, it's a totally different situation. So that's what I have for you. There is a part 2 that will be coming to this episode next week. So stay tuned for that. We are going to dive into 3 more tactics to not have to do the hardcore sales system that most people do in next week's show. So I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week. Take care. One of the first steps to growing profit in your business is building trust with people that don't know you yet. As we talked about so many times on this podcast, people don't buy from people they don't know. So how do you build trust with them? Well, the easiest way to do that is by getting them on your email list and staying in front of them so they remember who you are. However, growing your email list isn't as easy as it used to be, which is the exact reason I created a free secret podcast for you to create an irresistible lead magnet. Because the days of sign up for my newsletter or get our insights simply don't work anymore. People are on to the shtick. They don't want to be flooded with emails that don't offer any value. So by taking the time to go through the Irresistible Lead Magnet training, you are going to get the step-by-step plan to create a lead magnet that people actually want, and that they will exchange their email address to get, so that you're adding to your list, and then you have the opportunity to show up, provide value, and gain their trust. Once you do this, they are much more likely to not only buy, but tell others about you, about the lead magnet, about your business, and about whatever it is they purchase from you. So if you're ready to get started on that Irresistible Lead Magnet training and get access to the 5 specific step plan, as well as the guide to accompany that audio training, you can grab it today at profitgrowthclub.com/secret podcast. Go grab your copy, get started, dive in and do the entire training at one time, or split it up over time. The lessons are broken up so that you can go through 10 minutes at a time, or you can binge the entire thing and get it all done. I want to hear from you how your lead magnet turns out and what you created. So once you've gone through the training, send me a message over on Instagram or LinkedIn and let me know how the training went. Again, grab your access to the secret podcast at profitgrowthclub.com/secret podcast and get started on that Irresistible Lead Magnet now so that you can head into next year with a new plan of action to grow your email list, grow your profit, and grow your business. Did you miss something in the show today? Maybe you didn't have time to take notes, or you're listening on the go. Don't worry, I've taken the notes for you. Head on over to profitgrowthclub.com/podcast. You can find the notes and all of the links for this episode and every episode. In the meantime, take care, stay well, and I'll see you soon.